to you. So, on behalf of IIP Alumni Association, of course, the office bearers Swati, Hari, and Ajay, and myself, and entire 2,500 PGDP alumni, and on we have like Venkat sir from first batch on board, so it increases the credibility of this webinar, and we can predict at this point of time how the flow of energy and the content of the webinar will be. I think the student will definitely appreciate it. Students, Varun sir is from seventh batch, as he mentioned, so close to 3 decades, 30 years straight in the packaging industry, and currently for last more than a decade, he's heading packaging development for Nestle for Asia Pacific region, South Asia region. Varun sir, please correct me if I may be wrong. And he keeps on interacting with the students. Even people have alums have given feedback on his part, like whenever he meets students, and he definitely incorporates them for some sort of corporate engagements also. The last time I suppose he did with Indian Institute of Packaging, Kolkata. So without taking much of our time, Varun sir, let us start the session. Over to you.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Very, very warm welcome to all for this evening webinar. I know many of you would be really able to take out time. And thanks to this alumni association organization, which has really meant this step forward to organize this for all of you. It is a great opportunity for all of you. First of all, we used to think in our time that our seniors used to come and guide us in the hostels, and today we are doing this in remotely in this situation when it is COVID pandemic situation where we all are working from home and we are effectively managing all our work. And at the same time, we are able to teach our upcoming students how we should be really looking at the future challenges and the new normal. How would you all face together when you are coming out of the institute? And with the limited training period which you have gone through during your internship, definitely it's for me, I can say it's unfortunate that all of you had to stay at home when you are with full of energy and jill to work together, to go down to factories, to go down to operations and offices to meet the people to work on various projects, understanding by working on the project, dirting your hand and really using your knowledge from the education which you have undertaken for 1.5 years. But nevertheless, I think everything is, we know that this situation will go away and we will all be coming out with much stronger resilience, and we'll be able to see the world in a different way. The demand, the situation in the post-COVID will be very different. Many of people, many of your seniors in the industry would have shared that a lot of things will change in every industry, whether it is food industry, whether it is electronic industry, whether it is telecommunication. I think everything will start looking at it differently. How to reach things faster to people, how to make a right choice in the design, how to make a right proposition for the consumer, how to get fresh product to them, how to have a right packaging format to them, and how to really managing all the three critical requirements of social distancing, masking, and putting mask and hygiene practices. I think my session with you, all of you, would be a bit of presentation which I prepared for you guys. That you all student, when you are looking at a case study or a project, on a new product development, how do you really see the lens in the from the your the other side of the industry, like what is expected out of you people when the interviewer or the employer comes to you during the campus interview, what kind of expectation they have from all of you, after your 2 years of student life, post graduation, how you will be contributing to the industry. Remember one thing, that every company would be looking at students to definitely to groom them up, but they would expect that you really catch up on the things faster, without taking too much, time to understand things. So the agility part would be the critical aspect in your life, because when it comes to fast focus and agility, these three things will be the mantra for you to really succeed in the a new normal, if you have to really start getting into the industry requirements in future. So if I look at it in the perspective of new product packaging, one thing is very sure, that when you are looking at a packaging, you have to look at many aspects of the product. Since I have spent my more time in last 26 years in pharma to food to industry to cosmetics, and then getting into a food industry for so long now, I realized two things which is paramount. One is when you are in food industry, the food safety aspect is to be looked at from a technical point of view. Hello, hello. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you
Yeah.
are audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm getting some background noise. Otherwise, it's fine. So when you look at this, when it is a food industry, I think the technical people first thing is that we should be considering the food safety is the cornerstone of the quality. I think if food safety cannot be compromised, food safety should be looked at in the sense that every food product which you are producing should be safe to the consumer. So looking at that aspect, the second thing comes is, how do you really see the innovation pipeline around it? How does it really, the innovation renovation goes hand in hand with business expectation and food safety norms, and then how it is really going to take it up in the operational setup, whether it is the right packaging is and then finally, if you look at the right packaging in the sense, is it a sustainable design which is environment friendly? And with this kind of holistic approach, entirely by design, so future of packaging should be, with right design, right cost structure, right amount of headspace in the packaging, optimized pallet utilization, optimized loadability in the truck, and then warehousing, because the space will be constrained in the design. So entire value chain quality is very important. If I look at the value chain of the quality for a food industry, I think it makes a lot of sense, because it is not only to reach to the consumer in a faster way, your product's shelf life and your, the, because consumer looks at the shelf life and then buy the product. So if it is a long chain, then you will be going through a longer period of time to really get to the products. So how do you make it a more effective packaging solution, which can be the end-to-end mapped well, so that the end consumer gets it on a fresher product all the time. So there are certain measurements which many company does. All would have, and now you will hear some new terms like on-shelf delivery, on-time delivery, the kind of wordings, because a lot of modern trade and organizations, they will be looking at OTIF, which is on-time delivery of the product. Similarly, we used to do a lot of other measurements. We look at it that the shelf life should not be less than 15 days to 30 days during distribution. not beyond that. Then if something is, expiring, it should be taken back after seventh month or eighth month if it is a 9 month shelf life product. So entire understanding has to be there when you design a packaging. A lot of legal regulatory changes comes in very often, and so a lot of artwork changes, a lot of material gets obsolescence. So how do you save, really protect this the obsolescence? How can you design a packaging with a smaller print runs in case of new introduction? So digital, you have to look at how do you embrace digital solutions. How will you look at so many informations and then design the packaging with a agency who can understand your communication quite well, whether it is a number of colors, kind of computer, inputs which you will be giving in the print files. So many thing agency will be asking, is it a print ready files? What kind of cylinder engraving they require? How many color separation they require? So all such things are very critical for a new packaging development. So if I give you a case study, which is the ideal way for you to sum it up, I'll say that any innovation, renovation, or a new product introduction has a typical funnel, which is from ideation. When the funnel is on the bigger on the tail end, and as you go forward, it narrows down. This is a typical INR funnel where you have a lot of ideas. So, birth of a new packaging, if I give you, typically we all know and learned with the marketing colleagues that the funnel which we really design is it should be looking at a ideation, when you have a lot of ideas from cross-functional team, and the cross-functional team can be marketing, can be packaging, can be sales, can be consumer insight, and they give you these ideas, and then you really had to narrow down. Now that comes the concept development. So concept development time, there is a strong business case associated with it. When a business case is there, that means there is a key gate to decide that we are going forward with it, And similarly, when this concept is in a good business case happens, then you really go for a industrialization approval. And this at this gate, before when you are getting into the industrialization, your all cost, your year three volumes, all the financials should be in place. So when you look at the financials, there would be COGS is one of the component which is called the cost of goods sold. So if you look at the RM, raw material cost, packaging material cost, and there is a third component which is variable manufacturing expenses, means what you put in the cost for the manufacturing that product. And then there are other things which are the more goes into the marketing and sales expenses, which are PFME, then how you are spending your marginal your distribution margins, etc. So as a technical community, we look at ideation, concept development. We are into every area of the funnel. And when it comes to industrialization, there is a lot of key points to be considered. The milestones, you have to be very firm and decisive when you are really checking out each of the milestones in your during the product development. So after that, there is a launch, and then there is a post-launch happens. And launch is area when you are looking at that all the cost component, everything is meeting the target, and you also have all release plans in place. And once these are there, so all the people sign off that gate, and then the launch plan is done basis the sales demand, which time of the year the brand will be launching it. So you will be continuously interacting with the brand team to understand that the right time of the launch. Many times people don't go to the year end of the launch because that financial calendar year usually sales closure happens, and then it usually people take into the next year. And there will be also, this concept where then we also look at the post-launch feedbacks, how our products are performing in the market, was the packaging product demands any kind of concerns were there, or any plus point which from consumer feedback, from the consumer engagement services which Nestle has, we start getting both positive feedbacks as well as certain kind of if there are any consumer complaints, we also take it up. So the team works on this to understand what kind of complaint it was, and then we resolve those complaints. So if we go to the next page, thank you. So giving an example, like a product like Munch Nuts, when we launched it, it is a very nice, nut-filled chocolate products. And we had Snickers in the market, and we had to design the packaging in a wafer format because we are strong in wafer chocolates, and not nougat inside, but we were more of the wafer design, and then the nuts has to be put in. So the team, you can see that a project brief is being signed off. I'm just elaborating each of the areas, idea to concept. In the project brief, you have to put nature of the product, what you will be packing it. Uh, Packaging format which is required is very important for you to know, that is business asking a format after doing a proper benchmarking with the competition, or you want to really see ourselves differentiating in the market. Should we look at the graphic part more? Should we look at the flow wraps? So when we launched it, we launched first time this twist pack for this Munch Nuts, which can be a portion control. So once you eat some portion, you can then twist wrap it. So this we worked with a converter and a film manufacturer, and that is how the first time we got a twist wrap developed for Munch Nuts. And then we have to look at this, who are the target audience, who is the consumer. It's a youth, it's a elder people. So we have to provide, you have to make the packaging really workable for, if it is targeted to youth, then they like to really have it in the pockets, or they would just twist it and keep it, and on the go they would like to share with someone. So you have to see all the requirements of such products. And so the target audience is very critical, very important aspect whenever you are developing a packaging. Then goes to pricing, including marginal contribution. So MC of a product is very important for the business P&L. If MC is rightly calculated, rightly worked out with the entire volume plan and the entire, the costing of the raw material, packaging material components, and the thumb rule will be, some of the premium products we go beyond 20% packaging cost. Typically, the thumb rule of other packaging would be between 10% to 12, 15% the cost. So that is the thumb rule when it happens to the packaging in a food industry. But sometime in the cosmetic industry, it is 50, or even sometime in the perfume, if I see it, it is costlier than the glass bottle, and the cap is costlier than the product inside. So it depends on the hierarchy and the type of business you are into, and basis that your packaging design and the cost structure will be evolving. So this is a very important margin, MC and pricing, because this is the time when the finance controller, the business controller of that business will definitely like to see how we can manage our cost effectively, because there will be multiple other cost structures which has to be really upfront loaded when it is going to the market. And then the company has to make a profit out of the business, because nothing is going for charity. So taking into account this kind of concepts, you have to also build a timeline to it. And when it comes to timeline, the launch timeline, you have to have every company has its own World Cup dates. How do you ensure that that date doesn't shift? And if you have to really respect that dates, you have to all work together as a team. And then you have to sometimes be proactive, preempting the issue. As a young students, you all have to look into this. Just give me a minute. I have to put a charger onto my mobile. Just hold on, huh? If you can
Sure, sir. Sure.
just put on mute.
Yeah. St
Okay. Okay, I can continue. Thank you. So, if I look at all of you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We are able to hear
Yes,
you.
sir.
Okay. So, I was talking about this Gantt chart, the timing, you have to learn to really prepare this Gantt charts, which are the key milestone of a project. If you are a project manager, if you are supporting the team, you should be very well know how to really see how the critical gate points and milestones are achieved. I think many times we have seen that over enthusiastic way we commit something, and this is a learning with experience. I have seen that many times we over really board ourselves to drive things which sometime maybe initially it looks very positive and very nice for the company, but if you don't deliver it on time, it's better that if you be transparent and upfront, and you should have a solid reason to really support your facts and figures. I think if you have that kind of, the attitude or the thought process during when you start your career, I think this helps you a lot in not giving false promises. Many times it happens that we make a very confident approach on on giving timelines, seeing that I am just coming from the new from an institute and I'll make it happen. But there are challenges happens during the journey which you don't know. So first of all, I think it's important to discuss with the colleague in the industry when you join whichever industry with your team members, seniors, to guide you that what is the typical time period of a launch in this company is happening as of now, and more you really dig into the process and scratch your ideas with the seniors and try to really understand from them what are the challenges. You will be better equipped and you will be a better project manager in the longer run. So this is one advice I'll give to every students who are coming out, that don't be I'm not saying by that you should not be aggressive, you should not be enthusiastic, everything should be there, but yes, the professional life, when you are entering into it, you should first know the process, understand the process, and definitely then with your understanding, with the team support, you will be definitely able to take much more riskier decisions and farm up the project faster. Okay, go to the next one. So then comes this funnel of development, and this is the industrialization process where you really go through the drill and understanding of the product, whether the chocolate is really the most difficult component or the peanuts or the wafer. If these three components are there, which is more concerned in the packaging, for me it is the peanuts, which is very prone to rancidity because of the oil, and it is a very difficult packaging product to be packaged. So we have to understand the what are the challenges we face in designing such products. It is a, whether it is a water vapor, oxygen transmission, water vapor transmission, anything to do with the color of the products, anything to do with the light impacts. So when you consider each and every area, yeah. So yes, Venkat, you can mention that. I was just able to see that. Maybe you can explain that also, the kind of product which really needs this kind of criticality during the development. So packaging format also required, the sealed pack, the shelf-ready pack. This is also to be understood basis the project brief. How which kind of route to market you will be putting this product. So again, as we mentioned, the target audience, young generation, what kind the target people, consumer or customer you will be having it. Is the launch going to be pan India or a specific location? Again, the timeline and it should be Gantt chart. The result focus part will be there. If you can just click the slide, please. Yes. So the point is that if you know this kind of, just go back. Yeah. So know your product is very important in this point of temperature, sensitiveness, sweetness, rancidity, which I mentioned to you. And also in parallel, you have to know the operation setup, knowing the machine. So visiting the factory, understanding the machines, what kind of speed these current machines are running. Are they really, is it a heat seal packaging or it's a cold seal? Is it a horizontal form fill seal machine? Is it a vertical form fill seal machine? What kind of jaws design you have to look at it for proper sealing? So these are the some basic requirements which a packaging engineer should know when he is getting into the project handling. And this is a typically a requirement which we many times miss out, because packaging is not just packaging. As you all have learned that it is a art and science and engineering combination, so the machines play a very important role in the journey and future. If you look at with artificial intelligence, robotics coming in, the kind of shipping design or the carton design and the flow wrap design we have to do it. It has to work with the machine compatibility is a very critical component to it. Go to the next one. Okay, thank you. So the development, if you look at the key things in this is the the size of the packaging, the impression what you are going to give in 35.2 gram packaging, that it should not look too the bigger pack to deceive the consumer. It should not look, and the graphic is very critical that people really look for it and go for it. That's the very important message which I wanted to give. And click on the button, please. So these are the development requirements for all of you. For a food segments, what are the key requirements? It will be the draft specification. For example, you will be making a tentative specification to start the, your basic requirements of the projects, and then what kind of packaging formats, basis that technical trials has to be organized, because technical trials plays a very important role, because you cannot straight away ramp up to a commercial lot without doing a proper trials. And then there is a very big component of transport worthiness test which you study. It's a transit trial, so nothing has changed in that. But yes, we should more and more we should look at simulation, and that is where Indian Institute of Packaging labs will be able to help. People will not be able to go real time transport test in future, because of social distancing, because of the handling of the packs, and the faster innovation to catch up in the process, you will not be able to do it on a fast pace. So when you look at all this process, it would be very important that we all should develop the packaging materials in a way that it should pass the transit trial to that duration. Then we get into the longer validation of the machine, and then final specs is designed. And during the longer validation, you will come to know that what are the challenges you feel on the running a machine. You might have to write off some of the products during that process, but your line speed, the jaw requirements, or the machine people and the machine interaction, are there a lot of wastages happening on the line? Line losses are very critical. Then is the consistency there in a 8-hour shift run? So that helps to really see that the material is consistent. Initially, the material is unprinted, and you don't get to see that. So if I look at the next step, development, what do you check? Just click on it. You will see the various structure of it. Just click on this. Yeah, dimension, parameters, barrier properties, machinability. So these are all you will be having in your. You'll forward this presentation to you. So this will be a good learning for you to understand what are the things required for you to really ensure that entire process you don't miss out anything when you develop a packaging. Yeah, go to the next one. Yeah, I'll take the questions after my finishing this presentation. There are very good questions which are coming in the bottom strip, I can see, and I can guide you guys how to really look at this. So
Yes, sir,
when
that is it.
yeah. So packaging design, if I put it in a nutshell, it is when you complete it, you see that the right dimension of the pack is there, right coding process is followed. Then the right outer carton, the secondary packaging which you are designing is tamper proof. And how does the shipper design also plays a very important role, because today we do a lot of manual handling of shippers distribute during the distribution and loading onto the truck. So a lot of the level has to be put in on the pallet design, the storage conditions, the right way to handle the shipper. So a lot of level marking is required on the shipping case. And then it comes the final product when you are really looking at the warehouse space. How can you make the pallet holistically designed so that you have a 90% utilization of the area of the pallet? And we do calculate similarly to see that the pallet utilization is maximized, because when it is stored in the our distribution warehouses and in our racks, it is maximized. Tomorrow the space will be a big constraint. So with this, I think if I look at a complete picture of the case study which I have shared with you on the munch nuts, I think entire packaging design follows this way. And this will give you a complete picture that small things, but you have to be very careful. The assessment has to be there. I have not added here the food safety qualification of the packaging, which has to be inbuilt in the process, which is given. It cannot be overlooked separately. It is like part and parcel of the design of the packaging from day one, that food safety aspect is considered. Okay, so go to the. So this is then the final launch of the packaging, where you see the laminate with the right barrier protection from, oxygen, light, and then the right aesthetic has come. right? Taste is there in the product. Display packs are looking, standing out on the shelf. With all this, then the entire, you can see that the aspect of the marketing expectation, business expectation is met, and then your launch is success. And then go to the next, then the post launch. If you look at, uh, go to the next slide, please. So yeah, so post launch, you have to get the consumer feedback, then retail audits are done, and then consumer complaints if it comes, the positive consumer feedback from the verbatim. All these are required for your product improvement, packaging improvement. So these are the things how entire packaging can comes, and this is how the INR journey continues for a food packaging. So I have taken one complete flow wrap because we are doing more flexible packaging. Going forward, I think the golden rule is that we have to make the packaging recyclable, and the design for recycling, right communication has to be put in so that consumer can throw it properly. They should not litter the pack. I think these are the things which has to be embedded in the future packaging solutions. So that's the my one case study for all of you. Uh, Now I can answer the questions which. Good
Nikhil
evening.
Dhingra this side from IIP Delhi 34th batch, sir. So first of all,
Good
sir, I
evening.
would like to thank you, sir, on behalf of all 175 plus students from different centers for such a, fruitful and insightful case study that you have shared with us. So, with
Yeah,
your permission, I would like to further proceed for the Q&A round for the first case study. So, shall
yeah,
I
sure.
proceed, sir?
Sure, go on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first question is from Mahima. Is there any demographic shift for the food packaging format?
See, the demographic shift would be, yes, sometime we look at it basis the consumer requirements. Like, do they really look at, if I put a south, east, north, west, uh, it would be very specific for the product design also during the demographic shift. But as far as the packaging is concerned, we look at definitely the ease of opening the packaging format. Sometime, if it is a different segment of business, like if it is a restaurant, then it would be a different way of packaging. But as such, if I look at demographic way, we haven't seen so much. But yes, some places I think the pet jars are more welcome for the eclairs chocolate. Somewhere they prefer a display outer in some location, and that way you have a two, three different type of packaging formats. But as such, in our situation, I have seen in the country like this, we don't see too much demographic impact on the packaging changes. But yes, different packaging formats are being tried out considering the the strata of the society. If somebody wants to buy mainstream tin pack or a flexible pouch for the refillable condition, so that is how the packaging formats evolves, not straight demographic way of change.
Okay, okay, sir. So I'll move on to the next question. Next question is again from Mahima. The question is like, sir, about target audience. There are different economical groups in our society. So how packaging delivers the purpose holistically?
Okay, very good question, Mahima. I would say that the packaging designs target is very important for you. If it is a PPP consumer, then you know that it is to be bought from the Kirana shop, and it has to be a small portion of the sachet which they will be sampling or testing it out. Their pocket, the spend value and the packaging format has to be accordingly designed. Now, definitely, these are the things which we usually categorize into three, four segments. between PPP consumer and the mainstream. Then if you look at sometime the e-commerce segments comes into picture, that is altogether a different way of the expectation from the packaging. There are they consider it as a packaging which will be more personalized, more few people to use it, and it has to be different from the marketplace which is there in the retail place.
Okay. Okay, sir. So next question is from Kavya.
Holistically, yeah.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, please continue.
No, I think the holistical design, if I look at it, definitely it's the you have to use the packaging with the minimum headspace, which I mentioned. Day by day, I think the use of packaging has to minimize in the process. You cannot tend to have more packaging usage. As I mentioned, that the entire packaging has to be designed in such a way that your footprint of the packaging is fit for the purpose, not that you give it for business to really give a big pack look, and that days are going away. You have to really content that into a better packaging which is really fit for the purpose.
Okay. Next question, sir. Next question is from Mohab. Could you throw some light on technical trial of the shelf-ready packs?
Yeah. So when it is comes to shelf-ready packaging, Mohit, I think we need to definitely look at the perforation design of the shelf-ready. How does it really opens up when you really open the packaging, and how does the shelf space and the height of the shelf which you are going to be given for keeping for your business or your brand allocation, you have to physically get those details from the various outlets of the modern trade, and understanding that is very important, that what kind of visibility corner you will be getting it. Will you be into a other product category, or you will be given your category? Now in our case, we get a good space, but day by day with so many private labels as well as competition products coming in, I think shelf ready has to be compacted, more compact packaging, and it has to be. So the test which we carry out usually is the good perforation opening of the box to really see that it is shelf ready, and right specification. It should be, again, the transport test also carried out, but the space, size, and the area which you are given, you need to understand and then design the packaging.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. So moving on to the next question. Next question is from Santosh. We have seen high-end or premium chocolates coming in aluminum foil, but the low-end chocolates costing up to rupees 20. So, what is your thought over it?
No, I think the high-end chocolates or the which have a tendency to melt during the distribution or during the handling of the packs, I think the aluminum inner foil is being used to retain the shape of the packaging to avoid infestation, because when you use multiple inclusions in the products, nuts and other thing, you need to protect the product very well. And the other products which we are giving is again, the right packaging, right format for the packaging. If it is a 20 rupees pack for Kit Kat, we know that it is a cold seal, it has a paper foil in the wraparound to retain the shape, and pretty much it is should be trendier, it should be easy to open, and basic protection for that during the shelf life. The necessary protection is given on the packaging design, and you should not do over packaging, definitely. But the premium chocolate, sometimes it happens that the bars are bigger. Your designs of the packaging has to be looked into this, because you are going to put it on the shelf. It will have a shelf ready impact. It has to really, again, a benchmark of a competition has to be done with those packaging all the time, the premium chocolate packaging which is imported and your pack stands on that, you have to be have a similar comparable package. So Maybe another two, three, because I'm started getting calls, two, three calls now.
Okay, not an issue, sir. I guess Nidhi should continue from here. I'll ask Nidhi, the second moderator for the day,
Yeah,
to continue from here. Nidhi, please continue.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And thank
Atul.
you,
Thank
sir.
you.
See, Nidhi, since Varun sir has like just like 5 to 10 minutes more, I suppose. So we will close the Q&A session after you. Yeah.
All right, fine, sir. I'll try to cover as many questions as possible,
yeah,
but in case some questions are remaining, we'll get
yeah,
back to you, sir, on your email ID.
sure.
Yeah,
Um,
Nidhi, we can keep it up to 4 questions. Okay.
Yeah.
okay, okay, fine.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Nidhi.
Good evening, sir. My name is
Good
Nidhi
evening.
Sanghvi, and I am
Yes.
from the 34th batch, Mumbai. The next question comes from Santosh. He wants to know how do we come to a conclusion whether to go for shelf-ready pack or not.
It's a short answer would be what your business demands, which kind of location, because are you going to position yourself in modern trade, this entire product, then you have to really do a shelf ready packaging. Then if I look at the small shops, neighborhood shops, the place becomes a very difficult, and then you have to challenge every bit of the place. So will you like to, you have to understand the product display spaces over there, understanding of that, and merchandising requirements which is there from the sales. I think basis that the design of a packaging is discussed and detailed out.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is from Ajinkya. Sir, he wants to know that in most companies, artwork is usually designed by an external agency. So, would it help if we, as packaging, trainees, would know AutoCAD, Photoshop, or Corel Draw, any similar softwares which are used in artwork designing?
Yeah, I think it's going. See, it is. I would always say that learning a new additional things in the packaging, which is artwork design, Corel Draw. This you can definitely help the agency also. As I mentioned in my presentation, that many times the color combination which you have to give for print ready file to the converter for the cylinder engraving or the offset guy for plate making. I think you can bridge the gap very well if you know the process, understanding very well. But there would be also other opportunity for your area would be that you can work with agency also in future, so that you can guide them for the right color and the packaging combination, print requirements which you will have. So a print technologist and having a understanding of the different softwares definitely will be benefiting. I think a lot of noise in background, lot of noise in the background. Can
Uh,
somebody mute it, please? Others can mute it. Yeah. Yeah, Nidhi, continue. So,
Fine. Thank you, sir. I think that explains a lot. Another question is from Amit. So, can you throw some light on LCA of laminates?
yeah, so life cycle analysis, if I look at for a laminated, usually the LCA is for material combination, whether it is comparable against a glass with a metal with a laminates. And LCA typically covers your water usage, land usage, carbon dioxide, and five area in the spider diagram. These are the 5 measurement criterias which you have for LCA, and you have to compare your packaging with the logistic, your handling of the packaging in the entire value chain. If it is a glass, it has a more, the LCA impact is definitely higher because the water usage is high, the weight of the glass is look at the renewability of the glass and reusage of the glass, it scores better. So LCA of each material is compared against each other to really see the the life cycle analysis of the entire packaging. So it is not that the laminate is monomaterial versus multi-material combination. Definitely monomaterial scores better when you see the LCA of the two comparison laminate. So it depends on a relative comparison.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And so the last question would be from Riddhi. So she wants to know that after this COVID situation, there's going to be a trend towards buying from e-commerce. So how is this going to affect package design?
Yeah, very good question. I think e-commerce, everybody will know that it will be more and more in demand. And Riddhi, what will happen is that packaging formats will be more in a bigger sizes. Again, it would be more look at the formats which will be required by the consumer. If the family has to buy, because with less touch points, if people are ordering things, then it will be a bulk format in future, which will be more encouraged than single packs. Moreover, people would also look at more food application preparation written on it, so that people can try out restaurant food quality, which is now supplied by Cloud Kitchen through this commerce of e-commerce food to processed packaging foods, which will be reaching out to them. Then more and more in even the infant formula, teen scans, if you see all the premiums are coming, but this e-commerce is going to really change the entire supply chain. So what will happen is your packaging design and your packaging value chain has to be mapped to the kind of e-commerce you are going to play it. So your design in the operation, in the factory operation also will change. More and more your capexes will come into picture with e-commerce coming in mind, not the current retail environment. I think this is going to be the new normal, and organizations will look into this aspect more and more going forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
I
Rinki.
would just pass this on to Mohak so that he could give you a vote of thanks.
Very good evening, sir. First of all, thank
Good
you
evening,
so
all.
much for sharing your yeah, thank you so much for sharing your remarkable talent and skill to fuel up our motivation. For this is like I can relate this session to my internship going on and development what I'm doing. So I would like to thank you so much for your comprehensive session on development of packaging design and in FMCG, and it is that development part is a very crucial for any packaging engineer or packaging people. So this will be very helpful for us to go forward this kind of approach for any packaging design, for doing any packaging design. So I again thank you so much for arranging this session and taking giving us a guidance for in that part. Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, thank you, Mohak. I think you have like very well mentioned that this has been a sort of like exhaustive session and where full-fledged case study has been discussed. Moving on to like Mahima. Mahima from New Delhi, can you just comment or suggest few words? Mahima, are you there? Okay, so now moving on to Venkat sir. Venkat sir, would you like to say something? We are towards the end of this webinar.
Sure. Varun, excellent presentation. Nice to.
Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you, Venkat. Thanks.
Yeah, Mahima, please wait. Just let Venkat sir speak. After that, I will come back to you.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's nice to get back to some things like NPD funnels and stuff like that. Very neatly done. In fact, you have sort of given a induction to people who are likely to join companies. So most of the companies follow this procedure, the NPD funnel, be it FMCG, be it non-FMCG, be it any company. The basic process of new product packaging is the same. So you're gonna sort of head start to the people, and very nicely explained also various concepts of the packaging designs and things like that. Very useful, Varun. Very, I think, coming from a very, very respected systems following company like Nestle. This is really useful.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot.
Venkat. Thank
I
you.
also enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Very nice.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think what I liked about it is that the kind of interaction and the questions which students have prepared, it's clearly open up that today's generation knows how to really go forward in the future when they enter into the organization. I think the questions are very, very relevant and very apt for them to prepare for the future. I really like to wish them very success in the final project submission and during the interview, campus interviews. And I would definitely like to see that they are benefiting out of it, and we should be able to make also inroads to them to really support them into the new reality and the new normal, how they will really get into a proper process, and they are confident in taking this lead in going forward in the industry. My best wishes to them, and I'll also like to say that stay healthy and stay really take care of each of you. All of us should take care because the cases are going up, and we should take maximum care of our hygiene and social distancing. Mahima, quickly, maybe you are waiting for to just maybe one question. I can take it up and then.
A very good evening, sir.
Very good
I'm from
evening.
IIT Delhi, doing intern at HUL based out in Mumbai. So I would like to ask you many questions, but because of the time limitation, I want to ask only as you permit for only one question. I want to know what is the difference between package design and package redesign. Is the process you shared is same for the designing a new package and redesigning the package? And what stage we decide that we need to redesign the package?
Yeah, Mahima. So it's a similar wording of innovation and renovation. So INR and NPD and the events. When you will be in industry, you will see three things happening in the FMCG or the food industry. Other industry also would have this, but we divide typically into these three category. New product introduction is more of a new product coming into, and the entire packaging has to be thought through.
Yes, sir.
It and when it is a renovation, it starts from even a small change. If you bring it, if you reduce the thickness of the packaging, if you really work on the basic design, rearranging of the shipper. So these are called redesigning for the benefit to improve the profitability of the product. It can be profitability, it can be faster reaching in the to the consumer, better loadability, better warehouse space utilization. That is called the renovation. Sometimes the small tweaking of flavor in the product also is a renovation, where the packaging doesn't go through a major change because your barrier property, your functional property remains same. And when it is an innovation, your entire the INR template is to be followed. In a case of renovation, you can follow the 30 to 40% of the innovation pipeline process.
Yes, sir. So one more thing only, like how much innovation is consistent with primary packaging, secondary and tertiary? Like we talked about mainly of primary packaging segment. How innovation is consistent with secondary and tertiary? Because tertiary packaging is something
Yeah.
for which we don't get consumer insights, right? So consumer is dealing with the primary packaging. Then how we get insights for what difficulties we are facing with tertiary packaging and secondary packaging as well?
See, it is very important that you have a cross-functional team which is constantly feeding you the information, and you have to get into this discussion with your sales colleague, your business colleagues, to understand what improvement you can do in your current renovated product. Unless and until you ask for it, sometimes the company push it, somebody you have to pull it. See, this is a pull and push way a packaging professional has to work to really remain relevant and visible in the organization. Otherwise, you cannot do too much change in the primary packaging, but you can add a lot of value from the secondary and tertiary packaging.
Ayush, can I take
Yeah,
one
Venkat,
minute?
please.
Yeah, sure. So please,
To answer
I
this
think
question,
Mahima, we can you can
what
connect with
would be
Varun sir
the
afterwards. Yeah, Venkat
Yes,
sir,
sir.
please.
yeah? This is just a question to, I mean, answer to her question. What possible innovations possible in tertiary packaging, though that is not the consumer face? I can take example from Nestle itself. Barun, maybe he can correct me. Like I think Nestle was one of the first companies to package the ketchup bottles in trays with shrink pack instead of the corrugated boxes. Uh,
Absolutely.
the innovation there is what? It is essentially when you put the ketchup bottle, glass bottles inside the corrugated boxes, you can put any set of languages, glass, handle with care, caution, umbrella, this, that, but the people who handle the boxes, they don't know. They are illiterate. So there was a lot of breakages. The moment it was shifted to tray packaging with shrink pack,
Absolutely.
they were seeing the bottles. So when they're seeing the bottles, they were handling it better. So the innovation is sometimes is incremental breakthroughs are also innovations, or not necessarily some huge impact or things like that. This is a very simple innovation which improved. I suppose it would have improved the the profitability also, because less breakages means less money spent on claims and stuff like that. More importantly, the image of the company. You
Very,
know,
very well said, Venkat. I think such small incremental disruptions can make a big benefit, because once the loading people who are loaders, the people see the bottle that it is a glass, ये कांच है तो fragile है. I think that communicates through a shrink film very well, and when it is inside the shipper, it is not. And but today, when sustainability comes into picture, then we have to think again
yeah, yeah.
whether we should go back to the wraparound or shipping or something. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just saying the possibilities of innovations in tertiary packaging.
absolutely. It's possible.
Thank
Yeah, I think Mahima, it very well answers your question. Like two packaging veterans, like one is like from the personal care and beauty space, and another from the foods and beverages. So I think